Hey guys, welcome to Keep On Pushing TV. I am your host, Devon Harris. And yes, we work to share with you ideas and insights that are going to challenge you and inspire you to keep on pushing and live your absolute best life. So hey, are you interested in that, even remotely? Then you are in the right place, my friends, so welcome. When things get tough, how do you give more? When you fail, how do you, first of all, mourn and then work through that failure? When your dreams get dashed, my friends, how do you reset your mind? Well, our guest today, I think, can help provide us with some answers to some of those questions, at least give us a perspective on some of those questions and more. You know, he has experienced a roller coaster of those emotions. And you know what? He came out on the other end smelling like a rose, man. You know, he is a standout athlete in high school and college at the University of North Texas. He lettered in two sports, track and football. He is a former professional football player, spent time with the Buffalo Bills and the famed Green Bay Packers. He also played some football up north in Canada in the Canadian Football League, spending time with the Saskatchewan Roughriders. He is an entrepreneur, an author. He is an international motivational keynote speaker. And yes, you guessed right. This dude is an Olympian, man. He represented United States in the sport of all sports. Yeah, you guessed right again, bobsledding. It is awesome. It's such an honor to have another bobsledder on the podcast. So I'm really pleased, excited to introduce to you Mr. Johnny Quinn. Johnny, welcome to Keep On Pushing.
Devon, thanks for having me on. I'm so excited to sync up with you. You know, your history as a bobsledder, man, what a privilege to speak to the legend himself.
Thank you, man. It's great. You know, the first time I heard about Johnny Quinn, it was actually during the Russian Olympics in Sochi. And, you know, you were a social media sensation, man. You were all over the press giving new meaning to the term, breaking down barriers and kicking down doors. So, you know, tell us about that a little bit.
Yeah, you know, had I have known breaking down a door in the Olympics would have created so much excitement, I would have kept some of that door from Russia. You know, it was crazy. It was the day after opening ceremonies. The adrenaline, everything is running high. And, you know, long story short, I got stuck in my bathroom, had to break out of that door, took a picture, put it on social media. And I think the BBC took it first, then it went out to Yahoo, and it just went crazy. In 24 hours, picked up 28,000 retweets. I mean, it was crazy. So it's been a neat experience since.
Yeah. Well, you know what? They talk about breaking down doors, and like I said, you just gave that a brand new.
Right.
You broke down a door to get in the Olympics. That's awesome. You know, so we're going to get into your story in a little bit here, Johnny. But tell me, what was it like? You know, you dedicated 4 years of your life to this goal, this dream.
Yeah.
And here you are, you know, wearing and representing the red, white, and blue in the opening ceremonies, man. What was that like? What did that moment mean to you?
Well, it was so special. It was hard work is paid off. So somewhat like a reward when you walk on opening ceremonies and you hear them say the United States, and you know you're there with your teammates that you spent years sacrificing, working for a common goal together. It's a little bit surreal because this is what you've been working for, and now you're here.
Yeah.
And so that was one part of it. The other part is you still have a job to do. And race day was a couple weeks away. I think bobsled was the 4-man was towards the end of the Olympics. And so although we were excited, as you should be, walking in opening ceremonies and making a team, we knew there was still work to be done. And so you still had that anticipation of race day right around the corner.
Yeah, it's amazing because you're absolutely right. You know, you put so much effort into 4 years in your case. And now you're at the Olympic Games, you're in the opening ceremonies, and when you're first named to the team, you know you're going. But no, this is kind of like the first real proof that you're an Olympian. And you said something really interesting. As bobsledders, it's the worst. You're at the opening ceremonies and you're enjoying everything. There are some guys who have their events on the first days and they're done. And then it's 2 weeks of party. Your event, the foreman, is at the end of the Olympics.
Right, that's right. So you got to stay focused. You know, like you said, the adrenaline, the excitement, the energy. It's you got to be able to manage that because you don't want to waste all the energy up front because you still got a race.
Yeah, you still have to do the job, as I said, that you came there to do. So here you are at the Olympic Games. You're at the pinnacle of your athletic career in Sochi. But we know your journey started, you know, many years and many miles away from there. What was life like growing up in McKinney, Texas?
Yeah. You know, when you grow up in Texas and you play sports, you don't think bobsled, right? You think football. And so my goal growing up early when I was, you know, 5, 6, 7 years old was to go to the National Football League. I wanted to be a pro football player. And I played a lot of sports growing up, but for whatever reason, football just stuck with me. And so I realized at a young age that if I want to go to the NFL, which is a big goal for anybody, Devin, I can't sit back and hope that it happens. I have to actively pursue it. And so, you know, I come from a family that I didn't need my parents to push me, right? It wasn't like, hey, Johnny, you know, you got practice here in an hour. Let's get in the car. It was, I was beating them down saying, hey, take me to the park. Take me somewhere. You need to get better. So, you know, early on, it was easy for me as far as knowing, because I had this massive goal, and even being so young, there's common sense to knowing if you want something, you can't sit back and wait or hope that it happens. You have to actively pursue it.
Mm-hmm. No, that's awesome. So you played football, and I read where, you know, at the end of high school, you didn't get offered any scholarships.
Yeah.
But let's make it clear. I mean, it's not that you're a scrub. I mean, you're one of the top. You led Texas all the entire state. Touchdowns and receptions and receiving yards, and so you did everything you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
But you didn't get the rewards. What was that like? And what do you say to people who, you know, have similar experiences to you?
Right.
They put the work in and they don't see the results.
You know, I tell you what, initially, Devin, it was frustration because, you know, as a family, we were so confused because here's what we were told by all the recruits, all the scouts. And it sounds truthful and it seems realistic, but we were told, hey, if you have all the stats, if you make all the plays and you lead the state of Texas, then you're going to get scholarships.
Yeah, the football team. You're leading the football team.
And that's what I'm saying. And so we're like, well, I did all that. Where are the scholarships? And so although we were frustrated, which is a right feeling to have in that scenario, because it's like, I don't get it.
Right.
Devin, it was an early life lesson for me in that I'm 18 years old, led the state of Texas. I don't have any scholarships. What in the world's going on? It just reinforced the fact of, okay, looks like we're going to have to do this the hard way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not game over. It's not, whoa, well, I guess it just didn't work out. It's no, let's go and pursue an opportunity where I'm in control, where my actions are in control. And so here's what we did. My family, we got in the car. I drove to Texas Tech. I went to one of their camps to work out in front of the coaches. Went to North Texas. Went to SMU. You know, I mean, we took action, and I think you're starting to see a theme here.
Yes,
we took action.
Action. Agreed.
Action. We took action, and turns out I had one scholarship come in 2 days before signing day. Think about that, right? Yeah. I want to go to the NFL. I lead the state of Texas in catches. No scholarships, and I finally get one 2 days before signing day. And so, of course, I couldn't turn that down. Had to go, which I'm glad I did. It worked out so well. But,
yeah, awesome. But you're right, though. It comes down to action, Johnny. We all run into these roadblocks all the time, and you go, "Oh my God, what should I do?" Throw your hands in the air and feel more frustrated,
right?
Or do something. You do the one thing you can control, which is to take action. And so you did, and you end up at North Texas. You're a leader on the team captain for 2 years, the school's all-time leading rusher. In fact, you did so well, you were inducted in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Congratulations. And
Thank
then at
you.
the end of it all, when you're assessing yourself, comparing yourself to all the other wide receivers across the nation, statistically, you're in the top 10. So
Yeah.
you must be feeling pretty good about yourself.
Very good about the NFL draft. And you know what's funny, Devin, is when, we got an agent, and I remember he called me one night and he goes, "Johnny, I've got some great news." And I'm thinking, what's up? He goes, "I think you're going to get drafted." And he said something similar to what you said. He goes, of all the receivers coming out, you're in the top 10 in career receptions, career yards, career touchdowns. And they go, we looked at the previous 9 NFL drafts. They're drafting somewhere between 28 to 32 wide receivers. So I'm like, okay, if they're drafting 28 to 32 and my production says I'm in the top 10, well, hey, Devin.
It's a no-brainer, right?
It's a no-brainer. Hurry up. All I'm doing is counting the clock. I'm waiting till draft day. I want the NFL draft to start. Mm-hmm. And when the NFL draft came, my senior year, 35 wide receivers were drafted, and I was not one of them. And so here's the lesson again. I experienced it at 18, leading the state of Texas, and didn't have any, barely got recruited. I'm experiencing it again. I'm top 10 in production, and I don't get rewarded. And so I realized, here we go. We're going to have to do this the hard way.
Did you feel crushed at any point in time during that process?
I felt disappointed. I felt frustrated again because I really maxed out every opportunity in college. My scholarship was in football, but I knew if I wanted to go to the NFL, I had to get faster. And so I walked onto the track and field team. And so literally, in the fall, I'm playing football. In the spring, I'm running track. I did that for 4 years for this ultimate goal to come true. Mm-hmm. And it's draft time. And Devin, I don't get drafted.
Yeah, all the stars seem to be lined up, and
I'm really upset. What I was most upset with, because I wasn't that fast, was I was so much better at football. I'm thinking, why did I run 4 years of Division I college track, and I can't even get into? You know what I mean? So I'm thinking maybe I wasted. And here's what's funny, and I'm sure we'll get to this. Turning out track was the best thing for my bobsledding career, but I didn't know it then.
You can't know it, and that's the thing. But that's the thing though about how life operates and how dreams become unfolded. Yeah, you put the work in, and then an opportunity turns up, right? And so, here you are. But eventually though, you did sign with the NFL team.
Yep. So right after the draft, we had a couple free agent contracts come in. So I didn't stay on stay frustrated for too long, because I did have my first NFL contract come in from the Buffalo Bills, and I signed a 3-year deal for $1.2 million. It was incredible.
Yeah. So you're 22 years old, man, and a childhood dream is coming to life. You must have been on top of the world then.
Yeah. I was so excited because I had an NFL deal on the table, right? I've got my hat on, I'm signing, I'm going to Buffalo. But Devin, I still had that chip on my shoulder because they didn't draft me.
Yeah.
Nobody drafted me. So, it reminded me of something I already experienced. I didn't get recruited. The stakes are higher now because I'm going to the NFL, but look, that's fine. We'll just do this the hard way.
Ah, cool. So you get to Buffalo and you get right into it. What happened?
Get right into it. Day 3, I tear my hamstring running a post route. And it's
That's
crazy.
what the doctor ordered, right?
It's so, day 3 into my childhood dream coming true, a hamstring. And I'm thinking, I ran 4 years of Division I track and never had a hamstring. But day 3, and I think we all know what the NFL stands for, not for long.
Not for long, dude.
And they cut me, and I was out of there.
Wow, yeah, that must have been a blow. And so you're home for how long before you get signed by the Packers?
So they cut me in June, and then I go work out for Green Bay in November. Workout went great, but they didn't sign me until the end of the season. And so I signed my contract in January when they got knocked out of the playoffs. It was Favre's last game as a Packer. And so, I reported to Green Bay in 2008. And I was thinking, I go to Bills in 2007. that was a short stint. I go to Green
Yeah.
Bay in 08. But I felt more mature. You know, I had a little bit of experience in a locker room. I understood kind of the flow. And so I'm thinking, okay, I have a second opportunity. Most people don't even get one opportunity. Here's a second one. Let's maximize this.
Yeah. So I remember. So you ended up playing preseason in Green Bay.
Yeah. So things are well in Green Bay, and you know I'm second string on all the special teams going into the last preseason game, and you knew when you're a free agent, you get on by playing special teams, and so I understood what it would take, and I was playing good ball, but at the end of the day, Devon, I got cut again.
Not for long. Right, and it's but in true keep on pushing fashion, I'm going to say you and your agent kept at it, and so you ended up in Canada in the CFL.
Yep. So you know at that point, my agent couldn't find a team in the NFL, and he sends me north to the Canadian Football League. I go to the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and you know, Devon, when you grow up in Texas, right, you don't think CFL, you think NFL. So here's what I realized. I'm just facing some adversity.
Yeah.
You know, it's only a matter of time to, you know, it's a different path for me. That's okay.
The NFL train is rolling. You're just taking a detour through the CFL.
Right. Yeah. I'm just on a detour. I'll be back at another camp next year. So I'll go play some ball, you know, make a little bit of money and get some experience. And so, you know, I enjoyed my time in Saskatchewan. It's a great league for receivers. You know, they're always throwing the ball. You know, I'm getting great film. I finally become a starter midway through the season. And last game before the playoffs, I run a three-step slant, which is, you know, in football, it's like a route you learn in 7th grade. It's a very basic route.
Right.
I put my foot in the ground. My ankle stays. My body goes one way, and I blow out my knee. Torn ACL.
I mean, you can't get anything going right, can you?
Right? Like, come on.
Right. Which of the GMs told you that you weren't good enough? Was it one from the NFL or the CFL?
NFL.
NFL.
Yeah.
So when someone says that to you, Johnny, hey, you know, you're not good enough. What goes through your mind? How do you respond to that? How would you advise all the young Johnnies out there who are
yeah. Well, you know, part of me is like, hey, look, that's your personal opinion, right? Whatever. I don't know.
I agree. Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I've always been. I come from a wonderful family. I've got wonderful friends surrounding me, so I always knew that, man, that's okay, right? If I don't fit somebody's system or whatever, that's okay. There's going to be another opportunity somewhere. And I think that's what's been a big game changer for me is if it doesn't work out the first time or the second or the third or whatever, that's okay. But I'm continuing to, you know, with the theme here, I'm continuing to push.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Awesome. So you go back to Texas to rehab. The GM tells you, dude, get well. You can earn a spot on the team.
Yeah, he said I can earn a spot. So I'm thinking, you know, okay, good. Yeah, I'm going to get healthy. This isn't 1992 anymore where you do an ACL and your career is over. I mean, this is 2009. The surgeons, the rehab protocol. As long as I follow the directions, my repaired knee is going to be stronger than my other one. So I knew that I'd be ready to rock and roll. And 2 weeks before I get healthy. And right before training camp the next year, I get a call from the same general manager.
Yeah.
And he goes, Johnny, we're cutting you today. And so at that point, Devon, I am
his word that
devastated.
You know, get well, you can earn a spot. And you don't even get a chance to compete for a spot.
That's what I'm saying. I'm thinking, you know, I'm on the phone. I'm thinking, wait a second. Do you not remember the phone call we just had, or the conversation we had 6 months ago? You said I could come up and re-earn a spot, but now you're cutting me.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
Yeah, that's a punch in the solar plexus, emotional solar plexus. You know, I have had those experiences as well and all you're asking for is, hey, give me a chance to prove myself.
Right. And that's all I want, you know, and truthfully, you know, football or sport, well, if they listen to your podcast, they probably enjoy sport, but, even if football isn't your cup of tea, that's okay. Here's the reality for everyone. Don't you just want a chance for what's important to you?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I had. And when that got taken away, I'm like, what do I do now?
Yeah.
I mean, football's over.
Yeah.
3 cuts, a blown out knee. My agent can't find a team.
Right. Now you become damaged goods, as it were.
That's right. You've been doing your research. I'm not damaged goods, man. So just crazy.
Right. So, how do you figure out the next steps from there then, Johnny?
Well, I truly thought that maybe I need to take another year off, get stronger, and maybe, with a long shot, there'd be another football opportunity. But things started to line up, Devon. My mom worked with a bobsledder from the 2010 Olympics. She was working at a medical company, happened to meet him at a conference, and they had a conversation. My agent, football agent at the time, represented a bobsledder who competed in the 2002 Olympics in Salt Lake City. And so, the timing of these events was interesting. And I started to do some research. I realized Herschel Walker was a former football player turned bobsledder. And so I'm thinking, okay, they look for former football players with a track background. I ran track. I kind of
there was Willie Gauld, by the way, in '88.
Yeah, Willie Gauld. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was. I'm thinking, okay, this is interesting. Live in Texas, never bobsledded. I mean, I'm probably getting the same conversation you have all the time. How in the world do you get involved? Living in heat and warmth.
I know. I was thinking about that. Like, I've been to Texas. It's even hotter than Jamaica.
It's hot, man. It's hot. So,
like, what do you know about bobsledding?
Yeah, I'm like, nothing. All I knew was Cool Runnings, your movie, and that's all I knew, man.
Right. So, actually, there's Texas has a little bit of a history in bobsledding because Todd Hayes.
Yeah, Todd Hayes.
2002 is a Texan as well.
Yep.
So.
Yep. And then Justin Olson, who won gold in 2010, he's out of San Antonio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Vonetta Flores, I think, is also from there.
Yep.
So, wow, it's getting crowded.
It is. I know. Texas is supposed to be big, but yeah.
So NFL dream is over, but you found a new dream.
Yeah, I think, what's so interesting, 22 years old, I entered the NFL, Devon, I turned pro, but by age 26, I've been cut 3 times. I lost $2.6 million in NFL contracts, and I blew out my knee. And so here, at the end of the day, here's what it was, Devon. I was an NFL failure. Mm-hmm. I mean, when you get rid of all the fluff around it, I failed in the NFL. That's what it boiled down to. But again, I learned a lesson. I'm not going to let failure sink me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to let it springboard me. And here's the key.
Yeah.
I'm going to let it springboard me to future success.
Yeah.
And what's funny is I can see that now, right? I'm 35, looking back, I'm in my mid-20s. I can see that clearly now. When you're in the messy middle, right, and you don't know what's going on, that's tough to see.
Yeah.
That is tough to see.
And all you can do is push. All you can do is find some kind of action to take, as you said.
That's
earlier,
right.
Because people will see like you today, successful, and other people in other endeavors who are successful.
Yeah.
And they don't see all the doors that were slammed in their faces.
Right.
Success came, like right on top of them. And I think the key, and one of the things I get from your story is that you had an open mind. You were open to new opportunities, to create a new dream.
Yeah, yeah. Man, you said it perfectly. You used 2 words, open mind, right? Open mind. And that's what I see now, even now in the marketplace is, and I don't want to fast forward too much, is we've got to be open-minded. If things don't, hey, if you got a dream, a goal, let's go after it. But if it doesn't work out, it's not the end of the world. I can almost guarantee you're going to learn a lesson that can springboard you forward. Just like when I started bobsledding and having to figure out, okay, how do I warm up when it's -10 out? Or how do I, stay warm? You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
And here's what I realized. oh, wait, I ran 4 years of track. I've been properly taught sprint mechanics, and you've got to make an adjustment on your foot on ice, and you learn that. But I realized, wow, I thought I was running track for football. What do you know? I can use some of my previous experiences for a sport I never thought I'd be doing.
Right.
And be ready.
Yeah, absolutely right. And so, your story it meshes so well with the keep on pushing philosophy, because here it is that you run into these brick walls, so to speak, but you have an open mind. You keep an open mind that allows you to continue to keep on pushing. And then you are able to take the skills that you learned in a completely different sport, track and field.
Right.
And even football in terms of the pushing off a sled.
Right.
And apply them, because now you have a new opportunity and you're creating a new opportunity that you can take advantage of. So absolutely. We're going to go into your work as an in-demand, international motivational keynote speaker in a minute. But the open mind concept, let's say, is that what you would describe as part of the Olympic mindset that you speak about?
Yeah, I think when you look at a high performer in any scenario, and I know we're talking sport here, we're talking the Olympics, our sport in bobsled, comes down to hundredths of a second, let's take figure skating, in any sport that come down to, metrics, points, things like that. You've got to be willing to explore areas that you might not be comfortable with. Mm-hmm. And the men and women that say yes, hey, I don't know if I like what I'm going to find. I don't even know if I'm going to enjoy it. But if you can say yes and explore and be open-minded to areas that maybe you're not good at, or, maybe other people are overlooking, man, there's opportunity there. There's opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely right. And it applies to sports, but it applies to life. It applies to the Olympics, but it applies to the Olympics of life. Yeah. So you may be in a company and things may be going well for you, but an opportunity comes up across town, another city, or just another division. And you're right. You may not like it. You don't know if you're going to like it.
Right.
You can't know unless you try, right? And a lot of times it's a guy the girl with an open mind who goes out and take that risk.
Yes.
And succeed, and then everybody goes, lucky bugger. No.
Yeah. No, it's not. Look, they were open to taking a calculated risk.
They were open. Yeah, absolutely right. So, well, let me ask you, how did you get into motivational speaking? And give us a quick overview, Johnny, of the ideas you share with your Olympic mindset.
Yeah, so I started speaking when I turned pro, when I entered the NFL, because I had to figure out a way to generate income and continue to train. And so I would speak, so I started when I was 22. So I've been speaking for about 13 years now. In the off season, things I picked up. But once I got back from the Olympics, that's kind of when the floodgates opened. So the last 4 or 5 years, I've been able to do that full time. And so I do about 100 events a year all across, the world. And I speak and teach on how to think like an Olympian in the marketplace, and this as well as I do, the tools that we learned in the Olympics, what it takes to compete at a high level consistently, working with people who have different personalities, different backgrounds, different, mindsets. How do we come together for one common goal? Devon, what I realize is there's so much synergy in sport at the high level that transitions over nicely into the marketplace. Mm-hmm. All these companies are looking to increase profitability and sustainability. And so I go in and speak and teach on, hey, here's how you can think like an Olympian versus your competition, where you position yourself in the marketplace. And so we've had a lot of success there.
Awesome. So, we were just speaking a minute ago about all the athletic skills that one can transfer. You from sprinting. Myself, I wasn't a sprinter, although I'm Jamaican. I'm a middle distance runner.
Nice.
Because everybody in Jamaica runs fast.
Right. I know.
you gotta find something to win.
Yeah.
But
that's good, man.
Those skills, to another sport. How the skills that you've learned in sports, high school, college, not the athletic skills, but all the other things that you needed to do in
Yeah.
order to succeed. How have you been able to apply those to your work as an entrepreneur yourself,
Yeah.
or as a top Olympic motivational speaker?
Yeah. So, in sport, one of the things we learn early on, and really in any sport, is don't quit, right? Don't give up. I mean, you're taught that as a young kid, really in anything you do, but you hear that a lot in sport. Hey, keep pushing, keep pushing.
Yeah.
And I realized physically you've got to do that when you're playing sports, but you need to do that mentally as well. And when I started to, carve out a path in the marketplace as a professional keynote speaker, and now even as an entrepreneur, I own an insurance agency now, I realized mentally, don't quit, don't give up, explore opportunities, keep pushing. Devon, these are all things that you and I and anybody else that have ever played sports, we learn.
Right.
So,
just intrinsically.
Yeah. So I just realized, okay, let me just take those, if I'm going to use those as boundaries, so to speak, I'll work within those boundaries. And by doing so has opened up some amazing opportunities in the marketplace.
Yeah. There is really, Johnny, so many correlations between sports and life.
Yes.
One of the reasons why, I want to speak to people like you, because you have lived it.
Yeah.
You have absolutely lived it. And so you can teach it, you can share these kind of winning strategies with others. So you own an insurance agency. I know you also own Athlete Watch.
Yeah.
Tell us about Athlete Watch.
Yeah, so it was a company that was my first experience as a business owner. Again, I had such a tough time getting recruited that I wanted to give back and create a platform that would allow students to, again, take the reins in the recruiting process. And so it's a way for students who maybe they're like me, who might be a couple inches too short or a tenth too slow to go big time D1, but still have talent that they can go out and play and compete at the next level, really to give them a voice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what's great about that, I think, is that you have taken an unsavory experience in your life, working so hard, being so successful at high school level, and yet not being heard, not being seen, not being approached, and demonstrating that thing, because you mentioned your height, what was that? 5'11" and 7/8. 5'11" and 7/8. Right.
They wouldn't even give me 6 foot. Can you believe that?
You just needed that 1/8 more, man. But
I know. I'm like, help me out, man.
You're, what you're born with is what you have.
That's right.
And
that's right.
Other people can see that as limitations, and if you argue for them, then they become yours as well. And
that's right.
You were demonstrating, hey, you know what? I'm 5'6", and 11 and 7/8.
Yeah.
But I can still go compete.
That's right.
And if it didn't work out for me, I can still provide a platform, provide some encouragement for others who are just like me as well. So kudos on that. And of course, you're an author. You've written the book.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean,
come on.
We're creative, are we?
Yeah, I know, right? It's like we take
keep on pushing you.
Yeah. Hey, you and me, we might be brothers, man. I mean, we're cut from the same stone, right?
I know. So tell me about Push, Mr. Bob.
Yeah, let me show you. I got a copy right here. So I wrote this book, right? Push, Breaking Through the Barriers. And, when I go speak, Devin, I speak, most companies book me for 60 minutes. I can't unpack all the concepts that I've learned in the Olympics and the NFL. So I put it in a book format that you can read it page 1 through the end. Or, and I got this from a book I read, I think when I was in the CFL. I wrote this in a way that, hey, if you want to learn about my time in Green Bay, then you can go to the Green Bay chapter. Or if you want to learn about my time during Olympic trials, you can go right to that chapter. So there's a couple ways to read this book, just depending on, what you want to get out of it. But yeah, a lot of the wisdom I learned in the Olympics, in the NFL, I put in a book format so people can have it, with them at any time.
Awesome. So you just mentioned the Olympic trials, and I remember reading or hearing you speak about, your first time on ice was at the U.S. team trials. Is that correct?
Yep, you're right.
So your first time in a bobsled, you've never pushed a bobsled before, but you're in a race.
No, and that's what was crazy. I thought I was going to go to Lake Placid and try, or meet the guys in Park City and try it out. But 2 days before the U.S. 4-man team trials, I get a call from a driver. One of his guys was overweight for the combination that they wanted to run on their sled, and he goes, "Hey, do you want to come up now and compete?" And I'm thinking, come on, I've never pushed a sled in my life.
Yeah.
And I remember him clearly saying, "Hey, all you have to do is get inside the sled." And I'm thinking, okay, I can do that.
Were you pushing from the back?
I was pushing. No, they made me push from the side. Can you believe that? I know. Now I look back, I'm like, that was brutal. Why would you do like that? Yeah.
Yeah. But, I hear that story, Johnny, and it reminds me so much about our own experiences in 1988. Because, Chris Stokes, you would be our Chris Stokes. Chris Stokes came to the Olympics to watch his brother race. It's a week of the Olympics, and you've been to the Olympics, so you understand it's better than most.
That is crazy.
It's a week of the Olympics, and we go, hey, let's do 4-man. And we're like, Chris, you're a sprinter, right? We recruited him that week.
That's amazing. That is amazing. They need to publish that story, because not a lot of people know that.
You could easily switch uniforms,
and
the message of the story would be the same. And it's the same with success in other areas of life as well. There's this common thread that runs through every success story.
That's right.
Of the challenges and the failures and the setbacks and the open mind.
Yeah.
If you didn't have an open mind, we wouldn't be sitting here.
That's right.
Having this conversation, you as an Olympian.
That's right.
They go, I've never pushed a sled before. I can't be in a race, right? But you stepped up to the challenge. So kudos to that. So what else are you up to these days?
Yeah, so since retiring from sport, it's been a lot of fun building businesses. I speak full time. I own an insurance agency, and so having 2 businesses to grow, it keeps me engaged. It keeps me active. It keeps the competitive mindset going. But since the Olympics, I got married, and we've got my wife and I. We have a little girl, a 7-month-old.
All right, cool. A brand new dad as well. Dude, that's an awesome journey, man.
It's the best. It's the best.
It is. It absolutely is. So, how do people find you, Johnny?
Yeah, so I've got a website, johnnyquinnusa.com. I did a TEDx talk. It's on there. You can also, if you got any interest in this book, if you order it through my website, I'll see them come in and I autograph them. And there's some different packages. If you want to buy an autograph bobsled, I've got all that set up there. But that's at johnnyquinnusa.com. And then all my social media handles are at Johnny Quinn USA. Yeah.
So, and for Athlete Watch, is that where any high school athlete would find you as well?
That's right.
JohnnyQuinnUSA.com.
JohnnyQuinnUSA.com.
So, dude, you epitomize in my mind the keep on pushing philosophy. You went from an NFL failure, as you just said, to a U.S. Olympic athlete. You've demonstrated that you shouldn't argue for your limitations, don't own them, but keep an open mind even when you fail, and you will, all of us will. You don't have to own the failure, you don't have to wallow in it, but you can use it to empower you. I think
that's right.
Word to you embrace it and you allow it to push you and inspire you through and to push through boundaries. And so for that, man, you have demonstrated that you are indeed a winner, a champion. And hey, folks, you want one of the top Olympic keynote speakers, you have to go to johnnyquinnusa.com. This guy isn't going to tell you something that he read in a book. Well, he may have put it in a book. He has written a book, but it's his experiences. And I promise you, he's dynamic. He has an amazing cadence and an amazing, inspiring delivery. And you and your team will be better for it. So JohnnyQuinnUSA.com. If you're a young athlete who is looking and trying to figure out a way to navigate, I guess, the college recruiting system, JohnnyQuinnUSA.com. Johnny, you've been awesome, man. Thank you for appearing on Keep On Pushing.
Devon, thanks for having me on, man. It's a pleasure to do this with you.
It's awesome, dude. Thank you so much. Keep on pushing.